Have you been wondering how to get real-world work done with your local AI agent? Today, I'm going to take you through the process with Hermes Agent. We're also going to be using the excellent Qwen 3.6 27B dense model and VLLM. I'm going to run you through some of the settings that we have tuned specifically for this device 0, 3, 4, and 5. That's 4090, 4090, 3090, 3090. You can see those are all X16 widths. And so those are our CUDA visible devices that we've got specified here that will be used for processing. The VLLM served, you can see we're serving up the full 3.627B. Served model name is Qwen 36-27B. That's what's going to display. Host is 000, port 9876. The GPU memory utilization I've got set to 0.9. I was able to get that up to 0.92, but I think 0.9 is a little bit safer. Enable chunk prefill, I've got that set to enable. Tensor parallel size, 4. So that is 4 GPUs that we have here. That you should do that. I do not think you should do that. I've had substantially worse results with that, especially in my Hermes agent. Max number batch tokens, 8192. I ingest a ton of documents that are larger documents, so it works very good for that. Enable prefix caching, enabled, and Mamba cache mode is set to align. Max number of sequences I've got to 4, and for this agent, that's fine, and that supports both me and my wife running and sub-agents and stuff being called up as needed. API key, we have that set to nerdtastic. So let me go ahead and run this here, /. Next, we're gonna remote into DSP's Hermes instance, and you can see I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM, way more than you actually need, and 8 processor cores. So I have seen 2 fully utilized processor cores, and I've seen max 6 gigabytes used. So I don't know when I would ever be using more than 8. I haven't seen that scenario show up yet, but 16 seems very safe. You note that I do not have any GPUs here, and I don't really have that large of a size for the SSD, so you can be a little bit stingy on your allocation. It's only going to be storing basically files that you want there. Now that that's up and running, we're going to come over to our Hermes agent. So this is where we're at over here in the .81 SSH terminal, and we're just going to do a Hermes update, and I always start every new session out like that because there is always so much to be updated. For the first time, I'm like satisfied with the experience. That's why my velocity of videos, I'm just satisfied. I'm creating things instead of spending time tinkering with things. It feels great, actually. It feels amazing. So let me just quickly start up our Hermes agent, and I'm just going to take you through a really typical workflow here. I've been working on some slopware, that I'm going to share with you guys very soon. But after running through this, I wanted to kind of put together a good timeline of when things happened, explaining the software better than I might be able to in a visual format to people. So we're just going to have it preview the Agent Plex project and create an architecture diagram with a complete outline of the system. We're also going to ask it to create a summary of the conversations and the direction of development that we have underwent. Finally, I'm going to have it create a timeline to review the project that as we've been working on it so that you can kind of get a picture. And this is really where I saw the deficiency that I wanted to make sure that I conveyed is you need better and more accurate systems for timekeeping, especially when you're dealing with some of the LLMs. So this is actually one of the also places where having versioning control, having a time enabled might make some sense. So we also are going to have it host this on a web server. So if you actually get presented with an HTML file, you can just say, hey, by the way, host that on a web server, provide me the URL, and then you can just browse directly to it. So we'll have it chomp on this, and we'll take a look over here at the performance as it's going along. So the prompt processing now is at about 608. And the generation at the moment, it's not really generating a ton of tokens. It will get there as it starts moving through and producing things on this project. And this is a fairly long-ranging task for it. So it says it's going to start by reviewing the Agent Plex project structure and loading relevant skills, then build out a comprehensive documentation presentation for us. So it does look like it's finding all of the stuff correctly. The Synthwave UI, the Agent Plex project. Approach it like a project, manage it like a project, and communicate in an effective way with your LLM, and you can get some really amazing results here. And showing this helps people get a little bit better grasp of what the actual time looks like that is spent on this. So in reality, when I'm working, this is the pane layout that I typically use, but I actually run something walk off, come back in about 10 minutes. It is a very much more detached state also of communication, which is actually pretty good because it gives you time to think about what's happening and, plan out what you want for next steps. Things that in a direct conversation chat window, you get a little bit rushed feeling because there's always the onus of it's back on you and it's completed. So it's good to have some extra time to think about things. So it looks like our generation throughput right now is about 102 tokens per second. So yeah, you're seeing that, right? Right. And like that contradicts what we've seen quite a bit from the performance in benchmarking. So the real world results of Llama 3.6 as it is in use, as it is doing things, are going to look quite a bit different if you're running a fairly similar setup to what I showed you. And I mean, being able to hit 100 tokens per second on Gen is pretty freaking sweet. And definitely it speeds things up. We're now 13 minutes deep. You can see that it's been thinking on this MD file for about 4.5 minutes. It's got a sub-agent right now working on the file history and looking through the file history for detailed chronological reconstruction of all conversations, decisions, features built, pivots, the overall direction of development. Look for sessions from April 28th to the 30th, specifically extract key milestones, decisions made, feature implemented, problems encountered, and future directions discussed. It would be greatly enriched in accuracy if it actually had a git commit history that it was able to go back to and peg most of this to. Because lacking that, it does have some inaccuracies every now and then that can creep into especially creating timelines based upon conversations. So I would be a little bit hesitant to say you should accept carte blanche any of the timelines without manually reviewing them for accuracy. And I just caught this. So yeah, you'll note that it says that we've got a 230-ish K context window here for the Qwen 3.627B. Yet we loaded it with 131, basically 128K context size. So for some reason, Hermes does not recheck the context window size, or it could have possibly gone through and specified that. Now, for this example, we'll be done before it gets to compaction points, but that right there could meaningfully, definitely impact you if you are adjusting models around. So I think this one here is something to look into a little bit. It will, if you have a 0.7 at 230K, be 155, 160, something like that, that it kicks in at for a compaction, which is well outside of the 128K that we actually have. And you can see that we are currently at 28.6. I expect this to jump up to the probably 60 to 70K range by the time that it's actually done outputting this. It's not super real time with its updating of the tokens generated. And you can see that it did jump up there. We are now at 67,400 tokens. That is quite a big jump. You can see that our generation throughput went from 70 to 41. It was at 62 there. And really, the entire ergonomics of working in the agentic era dictates that it's better to have actually a pacing room than a great chair, because that's kind of what you might spend more time doing. If you note the big disconnects in time between being able to see something finished from the start of the project, it's a great idea to take some time, walk around. It is a much more detached, more relaxed way, a less immediacy kind of focused way of getting things done. We're at 95.3 it's reporting, which again, like I mentioned, for the compaction points, this is one thing that definitely be mindful of, because at this moment, it looks like I am close to, I'd probably not want to go any further here without compressing at this point with a 128K context window. View the Agent Plex project summary. So yeah, it set up a website for us here. It's actually very well designed. The project overview, about 4K lines of code, 14 source files, 11 dependencies, 2 LLM brains. It's saying 24 hours. So that's wrong right there. And that's why having a better timeline by git commit history is something that you would probably be very, very happy with versus inaccurate estimations of time that it might do on its own. Core design philosophy, it nailed it. And so I outlined most of these things to it, like having natural conversations is a primary interaction mode that we're going for here. I really don't want the typing, and I want this integrated into my house. And like I was saying, working in the agentic era, much less of what needs to be done behind a screen, and it can actually be done vast amounts of it just verbally describing. Fully multimodal, one of the core design principles, dual brain. So having reasoning segregated from sensory is one of the things that I wanted to make sure that this system did, and in a fully kiosk kind of setup. So that basically the presentation of it doesn't depend upon us having a keyboard and a mouse. The architecture setup here looks correct. Yeah, so it did pull in even the details here, like the webcam is a Logitech C920, so it even got that. The Intel PCH, which we ended up having some problems with some of that microphone input and ended up going back to the webcam, so that's actually technically inaccurate there. The monitor and the speakers, it did get those correct though. And it integrates those into the Synthwave front end, and we have a fast API backend, and we have these files, which are basically doing things like STT, TTS, and vision and router. We also have an onboarding workflow to make it easy for you to get up and running, and the onboarding wizard down here. It goes through a very good amount of the remote LLM brains and dictating down the protocol overhead decisions that we made about what goes where and when and why. And it's done a really nice job of outlining this. So the days of manually creating diagrams, I feel like, are numbered, and that is a great thing in my perspective. We have a file system overview here that is pretty darn good. So it does go into the Nemotron 3 Nano Omni being our sensory brain. Indeed, that is correct. And what endpoints it's at and what it's doing. So, I mean, just awesome. Just quite awesome. Now, it does have the reasoning brain a little bit light on the max tokens here. So that is definitely incorrect. I would say that if you did go through this, you definitely still want to review this, but this is probably a 90-ish% accuracy. I don't think we're hitting 33 frames per second. We definitely capped out at about 10 frames per second, which is a little bit on the low side. We came up with some themes, and indeed, I think the themes that we've got are cool, and it has that logic built in, so you can come up with your own theme just by describing themes to it. Routing logic is, I would say, a little bit simplistic on the input-receive side from here. However, it does have complex patterns broken down, yet it doesn't go into the complete reasoning chain for those complex patterns, which we actually did talk about that in quite good detail. So while this can bring me up to speed on some of the things, you can't take your brain out of the loop. And that's one thing I would say is a big takeaway, is we are still not there. It doesn't matter what you're connected to. You're still not going to be able to take your brain out of the loop. And as a matter of fact, when you do that kind of cognitive offloading, it's a little bit dangerous with LLMs. I would urge you not to do that. We do have an API, of course, developed here, and that does look like it is described correctly here. Going through the development history and direction, like just excellent. Excellent to be able to refresh myself on what I was doing. But yeah, the build timeline, I mean, just awesome. Just really, really awesome. Those dates might not be right. 3:51 a.m. There's a freakish amount of things happening at 3:51 a.m., 4:20 a.m. May not have had the right time zone. I recall that there was a time zone issue that I needed to sort out recently, so probably need to go back and verify that also. This is what it looks like currently going through that kind of a process with an LLM. It took about 95,000 tokens. It never finished the usage. So sometimes it'll hang. And I've definitely seen that when it gets this deep into the context window. So the sweet spot really for hitting the cutoff is, in my opinion, on a 130, 128K context window, about 80 to 85K. So just dropping that kind of information is helpful and beneficial, I think also. I hope this impart some information to you that you can action upon, and let me know in the comments below what kind of things you're building and what kind of questions you have about the process of getting up and running. Critical takeaway: if you are going twice as fast on all your tokens per second and you get one thing wrong, you're going to have to redo it. And how much redoing has to be redone is substantially less token efficient than getting them right on a zero shot. And I have a strong predilection towards zero shot being, and most of the testing that we've done in the past on this channel really biased and favored it for that reason. It is a better way to deal with things. And I mean, it's also kind of like what doesn't frustrate a human. Like if you have to re-explain yourself and the same thing over and over to a human, you get very frustrated. If it can't do the same thing over and over again, it becomes annoying. And that actually leads to LLM dissatisfaction. I think that's what most of the people out there that describe bad experiences with LLMs are talking about. Things that just continually are wrong. And so getting a really good, high quality even if it takes longer, answer is going to actually save you time in your completed development process versus getting lots of bad answers, needing to do lots of steering, needing to have you in the loop more and more. Goal, take you out of the loop. And a huge shout out to all of our channel members. It's because of you guys that we're able to do everything, all the buy me a coffees, all of the Patreons. Everybody, thank you for all you do for the channel. It really is because of you guys that we're able to do things the way we do things today without sponsors like you see on most of the other channels, giving you a really independent thought process that I hope to be able to preserve with you through time. If you're looking to get up and running with Hermes Agent, you can get a quick setup guide here, and that will get you basically everything you need to be up and running. And if you're looking for information on LLM hardware and general AI hardware, you might check out this playlist here.